driving up to our home away from home, Hard Rock, Sacramento. I'm driving today, as you may have seen, and Pops over here is holding up the camera. Hopefully we'll do a lot better job than I did with my thumb being in the way. So
I promise, no thumbs.
Everybody loves the thumb. If you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it. It's our first real gambling talk series that we're going to have. And I have to get over because I don't want to go this fast. So yeah, so hope everybody's doing well today. It is a nice balmy 64. Now you're gonna have your finger.
I know.
I saw the finger. It's a nice 64 degrees today in Central Valley in Northern California.
It's actually a beautiful day out.
It is beautiful. The sun, it's been so beautiful. The sun, we're getting more sun every day. But yeah. So I have my slot pool today, so we're gonna do some recording of the slot pool and us walking in. It's in the high limit room, which is amazing. And I have another one coming up too in the next few weeks. So we'll have a few of the slot pools on there. But today we wanted to kind of talk about a little bit of not just behind the scenes, but I know when we were walking in on the last video I posted on Friday, we were talking about how there's so many things that you have to consider as far as being, you know, a gambling channel or just having a channel overall, and being educated and going on YouTube and, you know, learning what that's like, because to me, a lot of people don't talk about those behind the scenes things. I do most of the editing right now for most of our videos, just because, as we said last time, we're not monetized. So it's our way just to be able to, because I'm not working full time, so this is kind of doing this gig full time. But yeah, so I think that there are several things and factors that you have to consider, especially if you want to start a YouTube channel. That includes having a good camera, having good audio, and making sure you have good editing software. For us, we ended up doing, we're an LLC, so we actually became a limited liability company, chasing the bonus. We did that to protect ourselves and for the places that we go. They also don't talk to you about, or you probably haven't heard, that you have to actually get permission to go into these casinos to record. One of the things for us was making sure we got permission before we did it. It was just nonsensical to us. It wasn't something that we were like, oh, it was just, we're not going to go into a casino to record, to be told, no, we can't record, you know. And I know a lot of people in the beginning, you know, when slot channels were really up and coming, people didn't ask for that permission, or if they did, you just didn't know. But that's definitely a huge factor when you have any type of gambling channel.
Yeah, and I mean, to add on to that, every casino has a little bit different requirements, right? I think we've mentioned it before, but some of the ones out there, like Red Hawk was a little bit easier to be able to get permission. You know, that was actually the first casino that we got approved at,
yeah.
And they've got signs posted all over, right? Literally says recording not allowed. You know, if you're recording, you'll be asked to leave. Like it's clearly posted.
Yes.
So, you know, our first thought was, well, how do we record? How do we get permission?
How do we get permission?
What does that look like? So you do the research, you ask the questions, you search online, you do everything you possibly can do.
And use Chat GPT or Gemini, or you can use any of them. And one of the things that I know that I've watched over and over, not just on TikTok, is that, you know, people in our generation aren't utilizing Chat GPT or any of the AI the way that they need to, you know. But for us, part of our generation has always been on the cusp of internet, been on the cusp of all of these technological advances. So for us, it is something that we are utilizing.
Yeah, and don't hear us wrong, right? Yeah. It's our descriptions are ours, right? You know, the video editing, everything is us. The main thing that we use it for is for information finding, right? Yes. Being able to utilize that to scour the internet for us and find social media contacts for the different casinos, right? You can ask it, and it's the first thing it popped up with, and it's, hey, here's a table, here's all the casinos in your area, here's the social media manager that's listed, and here's the site that we found it on. So that was kind of crucial for us to be able to find the right people to then reach out to, and then, you know, have that conversation with them of, hey, we are an up-and-coming channel, and we want to feature your casino. We want to, you know, We want to record there. What does that requirement look like? Do you have specific requirements that we have to meet? So in finding that, Red Hawk really didn't have a requirement. Red Hawk was just getting with the right person and then giving us the permission.
Yep,
so we check in with security, we give that person's name, they have us written down, and we're good. You know, Hard Rock was a little different.
And Hard Rock was our dream. It was my dream because I think that I'm a little bit biased just because of how much I love the Hard Rock.
Right.
You know, and again, comps and all that. And I know other people go to different places or they have several casinos that are their favorite. But just for us, it's just this was kind of our dream chance to be able to record up here. So
right. Well, and to be able to record and document and contribute and, you know, be able to make all these videos and connect with everybody, with, you know, connect with the audience, connect with the internet in general. Yeah. Being able to do that at a place that we already love anyway, it was a win-win. Just, you know, we absolutely love that.
Yeah.
But, you know, their requirements, it took a little bit longer. You know, it's the fact that we formed the LLC, the fact that we have that protection built in for us and for them, the fact that we're well aware of the requirements, right? You don't see a lot of extra people in our videos because we're not supposed to record other people, right? We have to make sure that people are edited out. We have to make sure that the music is edited out. You know, there's so many different requirements that you have to meet that people don't tell you about.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not something that is talked about or something that is kind of put out there of the legwork that goes into it and the actual legwork behind it. You know, and you touched on the equipment, right?
Yeah.
We found out that our mics were not great.
Our first session that we had at Red Hawk, we did about 6 hours of content, and it was all garbage, and I couldn't use any of it because the mics we had were cheap, and they kept crackling because Pops over here has a tendency to be loud, but I do too. I mean, it was popping for me too, but just because of, you know, you have a booming voice, and there's nothing wrong with that. But all of the filament, I couldn't use any of it. The only things I could use were our stills that we took.
Yep.
None of it. I couldn't. It was terrible. It was awful, and I was so disappointed because, again, 6 hours of film that I couldn't use for any type of editing for nothing. So. And
then we laughed. We talked about it last time. You know, our last road trip video where you get fatigued.
Yeah.
You know, after playing for 6 hours, you know, whether you're going up, whether you're going down, you start playing for that long, you go in that little bit of a bender, for lack of a better term, and, you know, your brain is just tired. Like, it was
really
work.
is.
It was actual work, you know? And then to find out that we couldn't use any of that footage, it was so crushing.
It was just devastating.
Defeating. And
then I had to go up by myself, like, a week later to try to record more. It was actually probably a little bit more, but we ended up getting the DJI Minis. Only problem with that, they don't connect Bluetooth to the iPhone, but we have to connect it physically.
Yep.
So, and that's only for one phone. So there's just a lot of things, a lot of things to consider, you know, once you do this. And it's sacrifice. I'm not working right now at this moment. Looking into getting at least a part-time job in the interim, just so that we can build up our following. But I want to do this full time. Pops wants to do this full time. We have a digital media brand, so I've been doing content for PMDR Paintball. That's our other business that we have, and you know, there's just so much that goes into it. But to switch gears a little bit, I actually asked and I know some people will be like, why are you using it? I asked ChatGPT last night, what are some of the things that are coming for gambling as far as AI is concerned? And it was incredible what it said back. And you wanna list? Do you remember what it said or not?
Well, if I remember correctly, it talked a lot about integration of not only the AI model into different engines, but the big thing was VR and AR. It was integrating virtual reality and augmented reality. And, you know, one of the things I was fortunate enough to do, I was able to go to CES back in 2020, right before COVID. Mm-hmm. It was February of 2020.
February of 2020.
So the month before everything shut down, I was fortunate enough to go to CES, and I share all the time, I loved CES so much. Just being able to, you know, I'm a nerd. I don't mind hiding the fact. I'm a huge nerd. I'm a tech geek. You know, I love everything tech and everything nerdy, right? You know, Stranger Things, Star Wars, you name it. But, so there's that draw, right? I'm geeking out a little bit. But the biggest thing that I saw was they were talking then, back 6 years ago, about AR and VR. They were talking about the different applications. And, you know, they at that point were focusing more on first responders. They had an entire exhibit set up for law enforcement, first responders, paramedics, EMTs, firefighters, everything would go out related around that. So I immediately went to that. Oh, this is cool. I got to see what this is about. And what they were doing was they were talking about AR and VR being built into different applications when it came to training or when it came to like real world applications. So the very first thing I saw was a bomb suit, like a bomb diffusing suit, the bomb squad. And super cool to see the suit. It looked almost like a spacesuit in a sense, right? But with Kevlar and ballistic gear and everything else on it. But what was interesting was it had the helmet, the full shield here, and it actually had an overlay, an electronic overlay on the screen itself. And it had cameras built in all the way around the top.
Yeah.
So the idea was when they brought it up, they had AR and VR built in to where you could actually bring up a schematic of a bomb.
That's so cool.
In front of you, right in your field of view.
Cool.
You could pinch it, using the neural band. It was the first time I ever saw a neural band, and this was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Using that, you could adjust the screen, zoom in, zoom out, move it aside, move it to where it needs to go. And it's an actual overlay in front of your face while you're looking, ideally, at the real bomb.
So are you saying that something like that will maybe incorporate it into gambling? And I'm wondering if platforms that they're talking about using, because obviously everything is secure through either some type of gaming department. And for California and our tribal casinos, the tribal casinos are the ones that have full jurisdiction over that. So I don't know what that integration would look like. I mean, maybe online, right? I know they have something like that because Ethan would do meta and he would play blackjack all the time on his VR, even the first one and the second one.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if it's going to be more along that line instead of anything else changing, because I can't imagine how now, and I'd have to look it up and do research, how they would integrate more of that AI into gaming machines because they're so regulated.
Right.
These gaming departments, they're very, very strict. And talking about Brantley last week in Cowboy Slots and how he would say, there's no difference between the random number generator, and a lot of the things that people make up are all in their mind. I can't put my card in because if I put my card in, it's not going to work. And think about your frame of mind and your frame of reference of where you're coming with that. It's coming from a place of negativity.
Yep.
And also there's no foundation for it. There's absolutely no foundation for it. A lot of it is very, very psychological.
So let's talk about that specifically, right? And I know we'll circle back to some of the other applications with the AR and VR, but you talk about the psychological. One of the big things we always talk about is perception is reality, right? That's just in any given world.
Yeah.
Your perception is your reality. It's what equals your reality. It's what you see. So whether you believe in simulation theory, whether you believe in God, universe, whatever that looks like, your perception is your reality.
Yeah.
So those people, because they have that belief, if I put the card in and then take it out, right, I'm going to hit a jackpot. Why do they have that? Because they saw somebody else do it.
Yeah.
Or because they had some experience with that. And that now becomes their perception.
It becomes their belief.
It becomes their belief. That's their reality. But when you talk about it from a fact-based standpoint, right, you look at the facts and you peel back the facts. Why? Why did they feel that, right? Why is that a thing? And that's where it leads you into your background. It leads you into the background that you have, and even doing your thesis, for your master's degree. Or was your bachelor's?
No, it was just experimental psychology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, experimental psychology at a bachelor's level, you have to create an experiment in experimental psychology and do the statistics and da-da-da-da-da. And mine, because I was super fascinated with the gambler's fallacy, I have my bachelor's degree in psychology and my master's in psychology, so I look at a lot of the behavioralism of things and how things within our environment and conditioning, just how we're so much affected by the psychology of things, and especially when it comes to the gambler's fallacy. That's technically a gambler's fallacy, people think putting their card in, but based on the theory itself, it's a little different, because gambler's fallacy, you just think that whatever you're doing, like if you're winning on a machine, that's a heater, that machine's going to continue to hit. That's not real. We look at random number generators and what that looks like, because every spin's different, but it's hard, because as gamblers, we've done where we've hit a bonus and we do our couple backups, but we're not going to continue to hit the machine thinking that it's going to hit, because that's gambler's fallacy.
Right.
I'm going to stay at this machine because it's on a heater. No, that has nothing to do with it. That's all within your mind and a conditioning. So what you can do is just say, we're going to do our couple backies. We normally do 5, 3 to 5, but there have been times when we have hit a bonus doing our backies.
Yeah,
right?
Within that 3 spins,
We
end
had a
up getting another
bonus, and then we've gotten another bonus. But it doesn't happen all the time. So it's just bringing the idea and awareness around gambler's fallacy and knowing for yourself not only your limits, but having the understanding and the education that this is all there so that you continue to gamble and give them money,
Yes.
right? And nothing wrong with it. I mean, I'll give my money hands down to a tribal casino any day. We love going to Vegas, but I will fully support and give my money to tribal casinos, and you know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thanks for keying that off, because that was a whole thing that I was thinking of in my head about that. And it's the idea that I think, and that's probably the other reason why we machine hop, aside the fact of like ADD or ADHD. It's also because we don't fall into the trap of that. We recognize that every spin's a different spin. Literally, as soon as you hit that button, that random number generator already knows when it's going to pop on the screen.
Yep.
So, and it's just being conscientious.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I love the call out, right? I love the fact that you call us out for the fact that we have our own things too. We have our things that we do that could be fall under that.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, what are we doing? We're paying for entertainment. That's all gambling is.
It's all entertainment.
Yep, you are paying for entertainment. And what are you willing to spend? What are you willing to pay for that entertainment?
What is your bottom line?
Exactly. So if I take $200 up to a casino and I last an hour on that $200, did I get $200 worth of value out of that hour? Right? Or if I take $50 up and, or even $100 in free play and we last 6 hours.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we got some value. We definitely got some value out of that, $100 in free play.
Yep.
So you have to look at your return on investment. You have to look at your overall. So it leads us down the path of responsible gambling, right? What is responsible gambling? It's knowing your floor. It's knowing your ceiling. It's knowing when to walk away. It's knowing when enough is enough. And that's going to be different for every single person out there. It's going to be different for every single situation.
It's that impulse, right? It's that impulse of like, oh, well, I could just do it now, and we've done that before where we've freaking lost, like $400. So this is a while ago. We'd lose like $400 and we wouldn't walk away. We'd take out another like $100 or $200, and we were chasing our losses. And that's what that means by chasing your losses, because you're already down.
Yep.
And then you take more money out. But for us now, what we do is just flat, like, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to take any more money. Once this is gone, we're done.
Yep. No, 100%.
Yeah. I love it.
So, to circle back on the conversation with the VR and AR, being able to see the application of virtual training rooms, right? Where you can have somebody with a fire nozzle, and it's a virtual fire nozzle. It's a controller, for lack of a better term. But in the virtual world, they actually are holding a hose, and they're actually hosing down an actual room. They can set up the VR space where they have a couch with a baby behind it.
Yeah.
And in the virtual training space, that whole room is on fire. And they have to use the thermal camera to actually find the baby behind the couch.
There you go. We want to be able to see you too, Matthews, while you're talking.
I'm working on it. We need to get like some sort of stabilizer for this thing, so we can do these.
Again, things that people don't tell you.
Things you don't realize.
Things that you don't realize when you want to record in a car. Instead of holding it and having your thumb in the way, he's got a selfie stick, but he's struggling, so.
Yeah. No, we're doing okay.
Struggle is real.
We're doing okay. I just don't want a thumb, that's all. So, thumb, and the sun. So, we have to look at, right, what is that going to look like when it comes to gambling? What is that going to look like when it comes to machines? What is that going to look like? I mean, I've seen it myself too in VR with the blackjack table, right? And you're literally sitting at a table and you're doing the motions with your hand tracking. It's got the hand tracking built in. So it sees you taking the card and flipping it over. So I can definitely see the draw on that side, but I'm super curious to see, like, what is that going to look like for slot machines? Is it going to be the pigs coming to life? You have the pigs on the screen and all of a sudden they pop out at you and, they hand you a virtual hammer and you smash them. And,
right.
like, what are the possibilities there? And it's crazy to think that the possibilities really are endless because of the invention of AI and the advent of AI and the integration of those models into learning machines and learning models. Random number generator is absolute, right? Random number generator is an absolute rule. It's an absolute thing that says, here's all the possibilities you can spin from, and this is what you get.
Yes.
Right? And it does it instantly. As soon as you hit the button, it decides this is what you're going to get on this one.
Well, we are actually coming up to the Hard Rock. So what I would like to do is I would like to leave this up to our friends and to our subs and our CTB family. And I would want them to comment down below and let us know what you think that's going to look like for the future. Let us know what you think of gambling in general, what you think of, behind the scenes and things that have to be taken into consideration. But I'm really curious as to know what your thoughts are on the AR as opposed to where that's going to go with gambling. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's going to be physical? Do you think it's only going to be online? Have you heard anything? Tell us, let us know, because it's a really big topic right now. And, AI is huge and AI isn't going anywhere. So
yeah.
It's either we're going to go big or go home on this, so to speak. But we want to thank you for being with us. Thank you for watching. Comment, again, like, subscribe. And yeah, we will see you again on the next one.
You got it. See you.
We love you. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here with us on this amazing journey. Make sure you come back tomorrow to watch our full session of our Free Play Friday. Let us know in the comments if you like this style of vlog, and we will see you tomorrow.